Thank you. Anyway, Gabriel and Daph, just wanted to hear from you as to where things are with the move to GitHub Actions.
Sure. Yeah, so last week, Daph helped us removing the Jenkins jobs from the repos. Gislan from the Canonical team helped us creating multiple PRs in the different repos for the FOSA and reuse. So we are good there. And as I mentioned, I think I shared in the Aether TST channel that we went down from 5 minutes. Jenkins typically take like 5 minutes all the way to 40 minutes. Now to a few seconds, 5 to 20 seconds, no more, less than 20 seconds. So which makes things more efficient. But yeah, so everything is pretty much in shape. I think probably one thing that I highlight I didn't mention to Daph, I think we need to remove FOSA also from the UPF repo, and I don't know whether it's removed or not.
It should have been removed. UPF
Okay.
Should have shown up there.
Okay, yeah. So overall, we're in good shape there. So that is kind of completed that task.
So there was a nice side effect, I think, which was and I don't recall now where this is recorded, a set of repos that were not affected because no one had been looking at them.
Yes, but they're in the Aether test thread that we discussed on that.
Okay.
Should I put them here? You guys want to see them in this list, or?
I'll go back. As long as it's in the TST channel, I'll go back and capture it, or if you want to cut and paste it
I'll
in
just
there.
pop it here.
All right, thanks. That's good.
And let me get up there again.
So I don't know that he had much to say about this. I think this is mostly in response to Blah trying to get access to the data plane or the user plane in GNB Sim, but AJ has started a document.
No, yeah, these are actually Daph, we have to talk about it, right? These repos are used inside various 5G repos. So
yeah, I mean, we need to discuss them.
yeah, I think we
because
just
nothing's touched
yeah.
those repos in quite a long time.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, we need to discuss and close this. Yeah.
Yeah, but because I'm not sure which repos do you use these, the ones that are there, because I went through the list of kind of getting everything that is being used from the 5G, and I didn't see anything of those. I do get have a list.
I assume this underscore fossa is some added string, but if you just remove underscore fossa, then this most of these repositories you will find like just search Aether or ID generator,
right,
or maybe HTTP to util. These are all used within the AMF, SMF, and the rest of the network function. So yeah,
well,
underscore fossa is not part of the repo name. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, then if you remove that, yes, I agree with that. Yeah, I saw those ID generator, NAS, and also it was an NGAP as well. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so these are all utility repos.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so they're not unused; they're utility.
Well, yeah. No job has been run.
Yeah, I think they are all Golang. Yeah, they are all Golang modules. Most of them except SP gateway, and we build it only when we want to generate a new release. I think, for example, like probably just sometime back, Gabriel generated one of the release for util, right, which is there on the first row. Yeah.
Interesting. So why didn't the jobs get built? Okay.
Yeah, so but we are also adding a few GitHub actions as well to some of these repos. So far we have added to the util open API, config 5GS I believe is called, and I don't see it here, but yeah, we are actually. Just give me 1 sec so I can tell you the specific names. Exit full screen. Yeah, config 5G, OpenAPI, sorry, util. Well, the other things that I see here, PFCP is something that has been used. Ajay, we had a conversation about this, but I forgot about that.
Yeah,
all
I
those were
think you,
mentioned.
me, and Daph, we need to have call where we can discuss, and I can give you references where things are used. In one or two places, I think we may not be using it, but just want to make sure that we discuss it.
Yeah, we also added GitHub Actions to the PFCP as well. We added GitHub Action, let's see, PFCP SIM as well, which is the one that we use for the UPF, and MongoDB library as well, we added actions. So those are the ones that we have touched as like auxiliary repos. But we still are missing the the other ones that are in here in this list besides the util one.
We good?
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you
Larry.
flip the
I mean,
meeting,
yeah.
Okay,
So, yeah.
so on the next bullet, I don't know, AJ, what you want to say about, if you want to say anything about this.
Quick comment, sorry.
Mhm.
I have a few questions in there, or basically topics or questions, but those are kind of relating to the GitHub Actions. I don't know whether we can discuss them since we're talking about GitHub Actions. Also talk about this.
Well, yeah, I get that they're related. This, I think, will only take a second.
Sure, go ahead.
No, I think in that case we can just move it down, Larry, so because
Okay,
it might
right.
take more time. Yeah.
All right. Gabriel, go ahead with your other.
Yeah, so one of the things that also I was kind of working over the weekend was there are several repos that have enabled the dependable security vulnerability checks. But I didn't see that this kind of like enabled this capability in all the repos. So, I wanted to see whether we are all good in enabling this also in all the different repos.
So what does it include, Gabriel? Like security update exactly means?
So it means that I think we talked about a while ago about this, but it's basically in the repos you have a tab that is called it's about the security, and this security basically indicates whether there is some vulnerability or some high risk attack that can be found in a specific package version that we are using. And to basically patch the issue or to resolve the issue, we got to move to a newer version of that specific package. To give you an example, we were using, let's say, gRPC 148 something in most of the repos. It says if you move to 160 something, that issue basically gets resolved. It's basically, so you don't have to be worried about that security or that vulnerability. Those are the things that some of the repos already had that configuration for the dependable to kind of alert us, just to let us know where is that security issue there. But is not necessarily configured for the dependable to automatically open a PR for that. So that's what so in my case, what I did over the weekend, I manually kind of create all these different, I manually let dependables know, create the PR, create a PR, create a PR, but this is something that we can automate by enable this capability.
Do we want to? I mean, it sounds like you're arguing yes.
Yeah, my point would be yes. So I don't know what other and that's what I was kind of bringing it here to the TST to see what other people think, and based on that, we can properly configure those repos on based on the decision in case that somebody thinks that this is something we may need to do.
Yeah, I think we should definitely. It's always good, right? Only thing is like it shouldn't be too many, then it becomes a lot of extra work. So we have to configure it at some interval, right? Like
how
frequently we want to do this. Yeah.
Yes, so that is something that also we start doing, working with the canonical team with some of the PRs. I believe it was in the util repo that we start kind of making, instead of making the dependable to do daily checks, to start kind of doing weekly checks. But it's something that we have to do also in the other repos. So at least for now, we started with the util. Yeah, the util, which is not merged yet, the PR for the dependable there, but that's something that we could do as well in the other repos.
Okay.
So weekly, right? Is that what you said you were doing?
Yeah, that's something that we started to. So we don't, in the case that there is lots of updates, so having a daily basis might be overwhelming if there are lots of changes. But if we do it in a weekly ways, doing once in the case that there is some updates, but it's not always that's going to happen. This.
Any, yeah, pushback? I don't.
Yeah, I think seems good from my point of view.
I'm taking a lot of silence as a yes to these, and thanks, AJ. Anyone else want to chime in? I mean, we're entirely in the context of SD core here.
Yes.
Looking across, I don't see who is on that might speak up for SD-RAN, but
Yeah.
or
So
Rock.
just Larry, to something I mentioned a couple times in the past. We have a colleague who is actually working on adding GitHub Actions for the SD-RAN. And after we finalize that automation component on those repos, we're going to move into the ROC. But as of now, the repos in the SD-RAN, basically they have just make tests as a Jenkins job, and basically whatever includes that makes test. But we're doing basically some similar thing that we're the canonical for the GitHub Actions on the structure. We're doing the same thing for the SD-RAN, and then we're going to move to the ROC.
I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just about the dependabot item. You really need to be sure that your CI is fairly comprehensive before you just take those on face value. I mean, for instance, you could be replacing something in a dependency of a UI or a Go module that might break something, so your CI has to be running pretty perfectly for you to accept
Oh yeah. Yeah.
changes like
So yeah. From that perspective, again, we haven't touched the ROC yet because the ROC, that's where we have kind of like a graphical interface.
Wait a second.
But
I think we're talking at cross purposes here a little bit.
Yeah, I was making the point generally, Gabriel.
yes, no. But my point is, at least for the SD core repos, every single PR is not just merge, approve and merge. So I have been testing every single one of them and then merging them after running. For the SD core, we have Aether in a box, and we have the different tests that are running in there. So basically running most of the profiles in there to make sure that everything passes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
not just the PR is open by the dependable and just accepted. It's not that way. So,
I see.
and that should be clear at least for any probably reviewer doing the same thing. So at
Got
least
it.
all the PRs I have accepted I always tested in an end-to-end perspective.
Yeah. That was really the point I was making. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
So thanks, Sean. Back to the point about SD-RAN underway, and then you're going to go onto the ROC. That's for the whole breadth of these GitHub Actions, not including the dependabot.
Yes, including the dependable.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually just call this one out a little bit more. I highlighted, but I think it's quite right. All right, thank you. Go ahead.
And just to kind of point out something to Sean, and basically because I'm kind of reviewing and running a test for every single PR, and that's why was my complaining about the Jenkins job that taking very long time, because just waiting for that to be completed and then move to the next PR, so it was taking extremely long time compared to the few seconds that it's taking now for the same actions happening in using GitHub Actions instead of Jenkins jobs. Okay, so my next comment. So when kind of working on the building these images for the SD core, I see that there is always this 5GC builder image that is always push. Does anyone has any kind of historical background why this is happening or why this is needed? Why do we need to push the 5GC builder image?
So where did you see that, Gabriel? Which
So when
example?
you when you go to any SD core repo and there is the target Docker push, right? So you have Docker build and Docker push.
Right.
Docker pushes beside. Let's talk about the AMF. So it's gonna push two images: 5G builder and AMF image. So I don't quite understand why that needs to be done. And that's what I wanted to know, if there is any.
Logically, isn't it like builder is something the scratch pad initially where we build the container image, right? That's the one.
Yes,
And then okay, that it's a bit odd. Like, I mean, logically we should not be, because it's just scratch pad where we are compiling, and at the end we copy the right binaries into the new
exactly.
Alpine image, if I'm not wrong, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, I think we should not be doing it. It unnecessary. It might consume memory, because if I'm not wrong, builders are typically big size, right?
Yes.
They goes into GBs.
Around 1.2, 1.3 gigs.
Yeah, so we should not be doing it. If at all we are doing it as a part of make Docker build, we should stop doing it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because this is part of, the Docker itself. The Docker file is a multi-stage, but I don't quite understand why the first stage, which is the 5GC builder, is actually being pushed to the repo. And that's what I wanted to get some historical information why this is being done.
Yeah, not required. Correct. So I think we can just check it in one of the repository, Gabriel, after like before next TXT call.
Okay.
And let's start cleaning up that as well. Yeah.
Because so far, I mean, the only repo I have seen that doesn't push the 5G builder is the SCTP LB repo. That's
okay.
Which is basically acting as I would have expected.
Okay.
Okay, one last thing, so I don't take that much time. The other thing that I was kind of going through the different repos yesterday is that there is this UPF adapter. From the Helm charts perspective, the UPF adapter itself uses the same SMF image. What is this UPF adapter used for?
I think Badri is here. Probably he can give a lot more insight.
Is Badri here?
Oh
yeah, Badri is here. Yeah. I saw him.
Yeah. It is related to P4 UPF. I don't know whether you want to speak or.
Sorry, I just joined. Could you just repeat that?
Yeah, question is about what is UPF adapter
and how it's being used and whether it needs to be used, because I saw that it was a big image inside that one as well.
I probably need to look at it.
It is inside the SMF repo. So.
That one. Okay. Hey, that's used. Sorry, I'm sorry. Like I think that is useful. Like. Oh yeah, that is sorry. That is required when we scale up multiple SMF instances. We do have one single instance pod which takes the responsibility of communicating it towards UPF. So that is getting used.
But from the GitHub, from the Helm charts perspective, the same SMF image is being used for this UPF adapter.
But that, like, maybe I would like to see
Yes,
what
I
you are
think
pointing to. Like, oh,
no, no,
it's the same image. That's
same
fair because
image.
code base
Yes,
is same. Yeah, code base
yeah,
is same. But whether that image acts as a UPF adapter or that acts as a SMF, that is something decided by the
correct.
Helm chart.
But what I don't understand is why, because inside the SMF, you inside the UPF adapter directory, you do have a Docker file to create its own image.
Yes.
So I don't know why that UPF adapter image is actually being used instead of using for the UPF adapter using the SMF image.
Maybe I can discuss with you, like,
Okay.
but as far as I know, like, a lot of code is common. There is one of the option was that to create the UPF adapter as a separate repository itself, but then it means that moving out a lot of SMF code into a common repo, so it triggers the two repo creations. We definitely wanted to avoid that and continue to reuse the same code.
Okay,
And I think that was one of the logic. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the SMF repo itself has two Docker files
Yes,
inside.
that's right.
One for
Yes,
for the
correct.
SMF and one for the UPF. Sorry,
Yes,
for
that's
the
correct.
UPF adapter. But this this Docker file for the UPF adapter is never used. That's my point. But let's discuss
Okay,
it
yeah, let's see.
offline then.
I think, yeah, some of the things were done to probably locally test it, but yeah, it may not be generating images which are pushed. But yeah, we can check locally. Yeah.
Okay,
We can
cool.
discuss it. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, Gabriel. Good stuff. Thanks a lot. So I don't know who put the next item on here, community issues, but thank you for doing it. This does pretty well capture.
I added that late. I think.
Yeah, so
this
you've
first
captured,
one, right?
Yeah, you've captured some of the main things that people are seeing there.
Yeah, at least
Cornell is very
especially
funky.
when I am responding, that's where I have captured. I'm sure there are other things which people are responding, but the first one and last one, right? The Cornell and Princeton, they both are related to UEs not connecting. Okay, let me take the first one, right? The Cornell one, which is like UE disconnects after some time, and he did told me that he's using Aether on ramp. And I have asked him to provide some more info to see exactly what's happening. And it's a real UE, right? Real UE, real Gnode B.
It's a real UE, it's a real Gnode B.
Gnode B.
And the way he's described it is that he will see the 5G connect on the phone.
Yeah.
And then it disappears and then he's not connected. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the person name also probably I can put, I just had some conversation with him. And the last issue, which I'll come back to this middle one, the last issue which is coming from Princeton, right?
Sorry, sorry for interrupting you there, but do you mind to describe a little more the issue from Cornell, because that issue sounds familiar with me.
Yeah, I think conversation just started. He told me that he connects, he's able to browse it, but after some time it disconnects, right? Then I have asked him to provide some more info to conclude exactly what's going on.
This is a real phone, right?
Yes, this is a real phone.
As far as I know, yes.
It's a real phone. It's the same one I have. It's a real Gnode B. It's the same one I have. This doesn't happen to me. It happens to him. I have not heard him actually successfully download anything. My interpretation.
Person name is Hussein, I think. Hussein from Cornell.
I faced some type of issue like that, but using OpenAir interface with USRP. And the issue was basically that the bandwidth for the daughter cards in the USRP was kind of small. So, and that's why basically it couldn't kind of keep up with the amount of data required. So as soon as we switched USRPs for one that had like a wider data cards with 160 megahertz, everything worked fine. But that's what I wanted just to kind of indicate. But you know, this setup is kind of different as based on what you said. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't have more info apart from this one. Like he just reported it sometime back, maybe since today morning, I guess. The other one, like I'll jump to the third issue first because that is more related and it has the similar problems. It's about the Princeton, right? So let me just pull this up, and the user is trying to connect the 5 mobiles to the net to the Aether, which is again Aether and on-ramp setup. And he does see that like 4 of the users are successfully connected, and when he connects the 5th one, one of the first 4 gets disconnected, right? So it has been going on for a week. It's just on off. Like when I ask some update, he comes back after some days, and it's. But I mean, but you are here, right? Like initially, it looks like the temporary IDs assigned by AMF, right? They are getting reused. So I
Okay.
don't know why. I did ask the person to probably once restart AMF and then see what happens, right? So looks like the cross things, but I think you know that area much more better than me, right? So is that even possible? But based on the packet capture, what it has provided, I could see that when 5th phone comes up, it is using the good T, which is already used by one of the first 4 phones, and then it just triggers the disconnect for the older phone. Yeah.
I think we
So
have
I don't know how he
seen this
got into that
earlier.
situation. Yeah.
Okay.
Just a
You
note
can
for everyone's, yeah, this is,
Fine. Oh, you have more data, Larry. Okay, Mozilla Genome. Okay.
well, only that this is for real. I mean, this is, in both cases, it's the Mozilla Genode B and a real, it's the Motorola Moto G 5G
Okay.
phones.
And what is this Genode B? Like we were using the Sercom, right? Now.
Yeah, this is Mozilla and Sercom are the same thing.
Oh, the same. Okay.
It is frequency in 48 instead of 78. But otherwise,
Okay. And the third ask is like probably Sean is still here. I don't know, like Sean is still there. Yeah, he's there. So third ask was like, as of today, we are.
bless you.
So yeah, as of today, we do share all the control plane NFs for all the slices, right? So NFs, control plane NFs are shared across the slices. This specific user, he was trying to see, can we trigger the when we create the slice, can we trigger the new NF spin up as well? Like, can we instantiate new NF instances, right? So it does involve like may not be a lot more big work, but it will involve the changes in the rock as well as in the core and maybe some kind of CD software integration, right? So yeah, and the person seems to be ready to contribute. Like but we don't even have any design or what is the best way we want to go forward, right? So
Yeah, that's going to take
that's
a
about
fair amount of design work. Yeah.
yeah. So
Remind me, where is that on? Where is
Slack.
that?
Yeah, it's on the Slack. Yeah, it's on the Slack. Probably I can tag you that in there. Yeah. Yeah, so that's about the new and which is valid thing, because if you remember, even in case of UPF, what we advise or the way it works is that we asked first UPF to be created, and then we associate UPF with the slice, right? We don't have the other way around, like click slice create and then that should logically create the UPF, right? But we don't have that.
Correct.
Yeah, we ask the pre-creation, right? So yeah, we can follow the same thing for core as well, but it means like but we still need some changes in the rock, because as of now rock does have the option of selecting UPF, but it doesn't have any option of selecting the control plane functions. Yeah,
Right. Yeah, well, as with anything in the rock, it all starts with the model, Yang model. So I think that's where we'll have our discussion.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I think if we can give some basic framework or the idea how this can work, then and if the person is ready to try out the POC type of thing, right, then that would be valuable. As
Well,
long as he
I
has
think
that skill set. Yeah.
Yeah, the big issue here is to encourage
Yeah,
whoever this was.
Yeah.
But recognizing that it touches multiple
Yeah.
systems, and it would be helpful to get kind of a proposal that we can all beat on.
agree.
Yeah, this was a really good topic I sort of been dealing with these on a low back burner, but it's good that everyone understand some of these issues are being raised, and this is how we get the community growing. It's to be responsive to this sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So before we move on, does anyone else have any other things that they've encountered like this? These all, I think, came on Slack.
So I don't have anything to add, but is this documented anywhere else than on Slack so that there can be follow-up?
Well, the third thing here, I don't know that it is. The first two are definitely Slack correspondences. They're both
So-
in the on-ramp channel, I'm pretty sure.
So Larry, third one is also on the Slack. I will just tag you, and it's on the which channel? It is on the SD Core Dev channel, right? But let me just tag you there.
Oops. Yeah, I'm just making note here. Yep. So yeah, Princeton and Cornell. There are a couple other examples. There's someone at ESNet now bringing up these are all using the Mozilab / Sericom Gnode Bs. They're trying to bring up, real lab deployments, and we'll be probably seeing more of these.
Larry, since we are here, I can also point, maybe I put it in the chat. So there was an issue open in Aether, but for SD-RAN, it's in the chat now. So somebody in the community found what can be called a vulnerability, meaning if they overload a REST interface, in this case for the A1 interface, the service will be down and it will not be restarted. So they asked us if they should open a CVE or something like that if it's a security concern. I pointed them to our Jira to track this, but maybe it's also an example of the community member being active somehow.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if this is a single case or maybe it's all over Ether, such kind of so-called vulnerabilities, but
Yeah,
that's
this particular vulnerability was, remind me, Alex, if I get this wrong, but my summary was if you DOSed an API and issued too many requests against an API, I forget exactly which one, you could crash the container sitting behind it.
correct. Yes. So it's a REST interface and it's the A1 interface in
The A1
SD-RAN.
interface, thank you.
Yeah. And it's like 45 requests per second for a post request. But yeah, maybe this is something broader anyway.
Yeah, thanks for raising it. I think we should probably make a point of spending time on what other people that don't necessarily show up at the TST calls are seeing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So someone that's a long timer.
Just one comment before we move on. I'm looking into the A1T repo, and the dependable is showing like 36 alerts for security and vulnerabilities. Probably it's because of that. One of those, I mean, there need some
Yeah,
PRs to
there's
be open in
somebody
there?
there's a group out there that are pounding on SD core or sorry, SD-RAN, and I'm not at all surprised because I don't know that we've ever put any effort into rate limiting load API call load.
Yeah. No,
into-
what I mentioned is I'm looking at the A1T interface. I mean repo, and I see that the dependable had like 36 dependable alerts for this, and there is lots of stuff that probably some of those alerts can just address the issue that it's been seen here. But overall, I don't know what is the status, whether
So
there
I
is.
think, Gabriel, like those alerts may not be related with the rate limiting. I mean, those could be valid alerts,
Okay.
but the issue, whatever Alex just told us, right? It's about the rate limiting. I mean, there's a valid
Okay.
interface open, exposed to user, and user is just bombarding it with the
Okay.
huge number of requests, and that's
Got it.
causing the specific module go down,
Mm.
right? So
Got it. Thanks.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we do not have the benefit of it as active of developer community around SD-RAN as we do SD core at the moment. Alex is involved, Wuzhong has some amount of time. This particular problem got routed past Thomas and Jordan, I believe, and it's not in their daily job to deal with it. So we still have to figure out how to resolve these.
Is this reported somewhere in the Slack, Larry, this problem?
No, it's been an email exchange.
Oh, I see. Okay.
All right. So the next topic is GNODB data interface
Yeah.
design. Before
Yeah.
you get into it, AG, I just wanted to point that I have added a link up here at the top. It's just a Google Doc folder where I believe we will continue to collect design notes like this one. And it should be the case that everyone has access to it. Let me know if I didn't get the permission set up right. And I just stuck a couple things in there that we'd already gotten started. But from going forward, this would be a place to just park design documents until we come up with something better. Go ahead.
Yeah. Maybe I can share the screen.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me. It's all yours.
Okay. Sure. I hope my screen can be seen.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I just missed adding a block. This everything is part of the GNODB SIM currently. Only this 5 and 6 is the socket endpoint, right? So I just wanted to give some brief overview how it works, and then I can just say that what is the proposal, how we can get those tunnel interface added. Okay. So as of today, GNODB SIM supports the inbuilt packet generation, and that we do after the PDU session is established. We send by default 5 packets to a well-known destination, which is available in the Aether in a box or Aether on-ramp setup. And then after getting the successful response, we mark the test or data as a successful test, right? So if you see, the way it works is that we do have the list of procedures which we run, and the procedures are defined based on the type of profile we have set for those that specific subscriber, right? So this is where we run UE FSM. At one point in time, when the UE is ready to handle the data, we generate this request to, there is one module called real UE. And the single UE may have multiple PDU sessions. That's the reason we have the next layer. The message goes at the send the data packet PDU, right? Now this is where the actual packet gets generated, and we send. All these dotted lines are Golang channel, by the way. All these dotted lines are Golang channel. Packet is handed over to the GNODB UE user plane UE handler. This is like you have multiple of these within the Gnode sim. This like it runs as a one per UE, right? And at the end packet is sent out, right? The thing is that on the receiving side, packet is given to this model UPF handler, or I shouldn't say UPF handler. I think name is wrong. It should be the user plane handler, which identifies the correct UE for which this packet has come. It identifies that UE based on the tunnel destination tunnel ID, which is GTPU tunnel ID. Once it identifies the user, it passes it to this module, right? So, and the packet comes all the way here again. This is the loop I have mentioned here because we do have option of setting like how many packets we want to generate. So by default, it is 5 packets. So this module, after receiving the first response, it generates the next packet and it goes all the way through the same cycle again, right? So we have 2 capabilities here. One is about 3 things can be configurable. One is about how many packets you want to send, at what interval you want to send, and what is the destination. Only these are the 3 parameters we allow to get configured, and that's available in the Helm chart, or in the Helm chart if I'm not wrong. Yeah. And once all the packets are successfully received, all the response, we give back this result, and then a test or procedure or profile is declared to be passed, right? So this has certainly limitations that currently we are literally hand coding the ICMP packet in this PDU module. And at the same time, we don't have the ability to generate UDP and TCP packets. And it is not performance efficient, so we cannot use this for any kind of performance test. Those are the various disadvantage, but at the same time, having it something inbuilt really helps, because you don't want the user to externally go into one of the shell and initiate any ping command or anything and get into the sometime debugging mode where packets are not even reaching the Gnode vSIM, right? Those kind of issues typically seen with the software, right? So let me just stay here and see if there's any confusion on how it works currently. This is actually I have seen the code, and this is exactly how appears in the code as of now, right? So
yeah, that's pretty clear.
okay. So now what we are saying is that like what we can do, like I have provided 2 options. So one of the option could be like, this is the one option where when the subscriber is connected to the network and PDU is established, this block gets created for the user. When this block is created, if we can create this tunnel interface, right? So it can be a just API call or some trigger, and this needs to be get created. This red block is missing currently, right? So what is expectation is that this turn handler module should create an interface which is visible to user, and it gets a predefined name or whatever name we set some predefined prefix, typically turn dash or UE dash, something like that. But the address assigned to that tunnel interface should be same as the PDU address assigned to that UE, right? So it should be a fairly simple API we should provide. This model should provide a simple API like, okay, create the tunnel, and by providing the IP address, and this tunnel should be created, right? Seems very easy, straightforward. And if we have this RAID model ready, things are going, I'll just say how it's going to work, right? When we receive the packet, it's going to be read the packet from tunnel. And now in the old call flow, instead of getting this start from here, we will start pumping the packet into PDU. That means we'll have to add some bit of code in the PDU session to handle this path as well, right? And then all the forward path should remain as is. On the reverse side, when it comes here, we have to add some logic to identify whether this packet should go this side or this side. Those should again be a very straightforward. One of the approach we can take is that when we enable this turn handler, we can disable this path, right? So it's going to be a clean only one path, and we can have both the path as well by using the ICMP header, some nodes. I think there is a packet ID or something in the ICMP header. We can use that as a special field to identify whether packets should be sent here or here. And anyway, non-ICMP packets are always going to be destined to this tunnel handler. So this is one way of doing it. And this, just to tell, this red block is missing, which is what we need to add. And I did not add that because I do have some confusion about how to create this interface. I don't have expertise as of now on this area. Okay, maybe I'll just give a pause to see if there's any feedback or on this area, option 1.
Ajay, probably that
Yeah.
In this part, does it have to be like when we create the PDU session, that time only we have to wait for the packets to be sent, or after creation? Because I think in our current flow, when we start running a profile, it will go and create this PDU session and immediately, send the packet out and finish the profile. But we probably have to change our flow to wait, like create a.
Correct. I think you're right. So I think that point I did not add here, or I missed it. Yes. So you're right. Like as of now, when we say that PDU session is my profile, it after PDU session establishment, it sends some packets and immediately it exits from that UE and it says, now I'm done. Right. So yes, we'll have to add the new profile which says that now don't exit, probably just pause. Right.
Well, so I think maybe, AJ, is it fair to say that what you are defining here is a new profile? So you are free to control it in a different way, and don't try to combine the two profiles.
Yeah, correct. We can add the new profile which supports the external TUN interface, and that profile can continue to wait. And then user has to provide some kind of either timeout or maybe some kind of, we do have the API provision in the GNodeBC. Like when somebody calls the API, we can get the input and do something, or you can just like do the control C if he's running the executable, right? Just stop the program.
It's not such a horrible thing that you had to explicitly do a control C to kill it.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, those are like some finishing task. We'll have to come up with how to do that. But as of now, the most important piece is this one, and adding the new profile to pause the UE exit. Right. That's the one area. But point to note that if I don't know how system behaves if we create this 10 or 20 or 30 interfaces, whether it will become sluggish or is it going to cause a lot of slowness in the system, not sure. Okay, but typically this is not scalable model, right? And of course, because of our profile, we can give mix and match. I mean, some profiles can continue to use the old and some profiles can use the new model, and we'll have some kind of balance, right? The second way is that we can share the tunnel interface with multiple UEs. Common tunnel interface, right? It comes at the cost of, like, when we inject any traffic into this tunnel, the source IP address on that packet should be set. And that source IP address, I mean, at least in the uplink case, when the source IP address is known, we can use the source IP address based lookup here to identify for which user this packet is meant for, or which user has initiated this traffic. The benefit here is that we can combine multiple users using the same interface, and we don't have to create multiple interfaces. It can be a fixed interface. Right? And this again requires some little bit of coding here to identify the user based on the IP address. And this interface we can create at the start because this is like one-time creation, right? So it we don't need this interaction after every PDU session create or tear down. We don't have to call the APIs to create or delete the interface, right? This is one time, and it remains throughout the life of the GNodeBC. I mean, this is what I can say. Like, I'm not sure if there's any more option, but yeah. What do you guys think? And I would need some help. I mean, if this is done, this would be very easy because I do know this rest of the code nicely. I can probably quickly code as well. This is something if I have to do, I might have to spend some time to understand how to do it. Yeah.
Ajay, I think the tunnel part was that when the packet comes in, we still have to add the header on top of it.
Oh yeah, that's done here.
Header,
yeah,
that's done here, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
So yeah, so anyways, I mean, it would be easier to just put the tunnel, the interface at that place.
This one, second option.
second option.
Yeah, I think only thing is like some people find it like, for example, when we create the per UI tunnel, right? You can just do ping, let's say 8.8.8.8, and then ping utility or Linux will add the source IP address automatically because packet is coming through that interface. In this case, since interface is shared across multiple UIs, we want to make sure that whoever is generating the traffic should set the IP address, because the default address set on this interface is not going to be UE address. It's going to be something different. And so, but yeah, I mean,
Correct. So,
yeah, so it's like a trade-off. Yeah.
My personal preference, at least based on what I have seen with the other software I have been working with, is typically goes for option one, where you have, one tunnel per UE and makes things transparent in the sense whatever you want to attach any traffic to, just bind that specific interface, and that's it. And you know that all the traffic for that specific UE is going through that tunnel, right? In the second option, probably it's going to give it more complexity, given that the user needs to provide more options or parameters to be able to use a specific UE, let's say, to send the traffic. So first option is how UE run sim or OpenAir interface does it, or it's, I think it's more common way on how the other software is already doing it, probably.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Only thing is that if there is a lot of code which can be reused, or if we have one of the option working, right? So, yeah, but yeah, this would be good start to have this option one, which is fairly straightforward to use.
But the only point is probably we're processing the data packets through our own this Go channels, which is what I'm a little worried about. I wanted to move directly through the, directly add header and just push it out the tunnel or the transport socket. I mean, that would be faster, which would probably come to us, later, once we start implementing this. If more packets are pumped and we have to create channels for every of these UE inside the code, and maintain queues for all of them, that would probably come and make it slow.
I agree. I mean, there is like extra hops, channel hops, which as of now I'm not sure how much this delay will be, but so, if we get something.
So how does the UE ran sim thing do it? Like how currently when it creates a tunnel, is that like, do we? But we don't know the internals of how it does it. Maybe.
You can look into the internals. There is source code. It's open source, right? If you want to see the internals of that, it is open source. But what exactly is your question, Valerie?
No, I was thinking does it always have to go through the code? I mean, I was just thinking of a faster way how we can just take the packet, add a header, and move it out without having to.
So, Badri, I mean, the few things we can, of course, do it in a way that this turn handler can directly patch it here. The way I mean, those things are possible. I mean, I have just shown it in a way like it's like as of today how it is in the code, right? But this turn handler, we can always patch it to here by passing more info to this turn handler module, right? So it doesn't require to come in. So I think those optimization we can do, and then this can directly attach to this UE handler. Yeah. So yeah, so this is where we are, Larry. So maybe some experimentation on the creating the turn interfaces is required. If that kind of standalone module is available, and especially I think standalone executable should be fairly easy. When it comes with the container, that's why it becomes a little bit tricky. Maybe I think if it is like, I can probably do some initial work about getting it to work on the standalone executable, right? And then show that, it works and how it works. Right?
Yeah, I think I like that. I like that plan, that if you demonstrated that basic functionality, then someone could generalize it in the right way.
Yeah, okay. Okay, fine. Probably I can take that part and make it work, and then we can see if somebody can help us on getting this working within the Kubernetes pod, or maybe as a standalone container, right? So,
Yeah, standalone. Ultimately, standalone
okay.
container would be great.
Okay.
Thank you. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we have one more topic and we're getting near the top of the hour, so let's move on to QA. Kunal, or whoever is on there. I've lost my.
Yes, sorry. This is Kunal.
Go ahead.
Oh, yep. So going from the last TST, we took this task where we have added Jenkins archive artifacts um, to um, to share to archive the log files. So we have added a blog where we are archiving almost all the logs there, and they'll be available with that build.
So I will go,
this
yeah, so it
Mhm.
is, you have demonstrated this. Where do I find the archives?
In
I'll
the
have to go
job
poke around
itself.
in Jenkins and take a look at it.
Yes, yes. If you can, if you want to check all those logs, you can just go to the to that job, and you can see all these log files listed there.
So
Those are
the
majorly
path
getting
to
saved
get to
on.
the path to get to the log file is through the job output.
Yes.
Okay,
Also.
thank you.
Yeah.
I'll take a look.
So I added the link to Jenkins right there. You can see the latest job artifacts will always be placed there. So there they are. And I took
beautiful.
Yeah. So I took a look through them, and honestly, everything looks correct. Like the IMSI is being received, it should be authenticating, and the AMF just says no authentication failure. So I don't know quite what is going on. I guess what I'm going to say is I'm beyond my depth now on this one.
Okay, AJ Badri, there you go.
So did you say that AMF is not saying that? Is this about that single UE failure?
So yeah, the UE that fails, it's always 7487. It's the first one, and you can see, the AMF receives that IMSI along with all of the others in the config, so it should be there, but it's saying authentication failure.
Oh, okay. So the way it works is that the configuration whatever we have in the slice, right? We pass it blindly the same copy of the slice config to all the network function.
Correct.
But actually, the meaningful network function here is that the web console, right? Web console does two things. When it receives the slice config, it passes the slice config as is to all the network function, and at the same time, it adds some authentication info into the MongoDB. Okay, so now even if AMF has received this IMSI in its slice, that doesn't mean that AMF knows how to authenticate this IMSI, right? So when UE really comes to AMF still has to go to the AUSF function, which internally goes to UDM and then UDR and then MongoDB. So right. So what at the end it says that UDR fails because in this whole chain UDR is the one which goes to MongoDB, right? And that's how we had concluded last week that content is not there in the MongoDB, and that's the reason it fails. And I believe so the point where we should now try to debug is that if Web Console has it, why Web Console is not pushing this content into the MongoDB? Or maybe is it like it has under certain condition it is failing to push one of the subscriber, but it's adding rest of the subscribers, right? I think that's the area we should look for. Yeah.
So is that the case that only one of the UEs is failing, the rest of them are connecting properly?
Yeah, and it's
Every
all
now and then two will fail, but it's usually one.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Ajay's direction that yes, we need to look at why, I mean, Web Console is not putting it into MongoDB.
So maybe this link can you Larry put it in the chat? Probably I think Web UI logs are also there in this now, right? So it would be easy.
But can we access this, or we need to?
We should be. I think
Yeah,
that's
this
a
is if
shared
you got
lesson.
you access Jenkins. So well, let me just show you just generally if you go to the dashboard you get.
Jenkins.
These are all on-ramp, or these are all on-ramp tests. You can pick whichever one failed that you want to here. Avoid UE ran sim, that's sort of an extra thing. But the basic one, quick start using default Helm charts, 2204. So this is probably the one we were just looking at, I'm not sure. And there's your
could have
log.
been default or latest. I can't remember.
This is default. Both latest, I think, failed too.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, both.
The link that I pasted was latest.
Oh, I don't
but
remember
it's
now which one
the
you
same-
pasted. Yeah,
Sorry?
I don't remember which one you pasted.
Yeah, I just looked back at the notes. It was latest. So, but it's all the same. It's the same error.
Right.
But isn't it like it's showing success, like the tick mark in the first, the latest run?
No, it's well, what you're seeing here is the latest run.
No, I was looking at the top one. Okay. Okay, the UE ran sim is what you said we should exclude, and the wherever other
So
cases.
if you go into, maybe let me do this, and I got to figure out how to use my. The problem I have here is that the Zoom console is sitting on top of everything I want to show you. But if you go into that document, that Google folder that I had put your design note in, there's another file in there that's a list of all the API tests. I'm sorry, all of the integration tests.
Yeah.
And that should tell you just generally which ones to pay attention to. It's and the basic ones are the ones that.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Larry.
Okay, so excuse me here as I come back to a screen I can make use of. Go ahead. I need to just find the notes and get it back up here. Okay, go ahead.
Sure. All right. Yeah. So moving on to our create JJB files for all the Ether on RAM Jenkins jobs. So we are awaiting a review from DAF. I think Pallavi has pushed one of the JJB files, and she has raised a review request to DAF. So we are waiting a review from DAF on that. And then moving on to adding iPerf client to UE ransom, I mean, as discussed in the last TST, I had a call with David from iPerf team, and he told me that I mean, we did finally finalized that we have to change the network mode to host for this container. And I mean, due to a medical emergency, I could not try that out. But yeah, this one is something I'm on and will be working on it going forward.
Okay, thank you. We are over time here, so I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. Are there any other urgent things to discuss? All right. See everybody next week. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.